we've all done it, right? You meet someone, you're like, oh, I could be friends with them, or I really like them, or they have something that interests me that I find compelling.
It's very hard to explain, but I think that there was an immediate trust in that made me feel like it made me feel like I could just jump off the ledge, the cliff, the bridge, and he would catch me in so many ways, whether it was comedy or acting or friendship or any ways.
Yeah, we had each other's back.
And missing persons won't even take the report for another 2 days.
Bigger question, who was supposed to get sliced and diced, Spicer or the mystery man?
When Law & Order SVU premiered back in 1999, fans immediately fell in love with the show's two lead detectives, Mariska Hargitay's Olivia Benson and Christopher Meloni's Elliot Stabler. For 12 seasons, Benson and Stabler worked side by side, solving especially heinous crimes in New York City.
Elliot put his papers in. There was nothing I could do.
Until 2011, when Christopher suddenly left the show, breaking up the beloved partnership. But now, after 10 long years apart, Benson and Stabler will be reunited on April 1st in a special two-part crossover event on NBC. First, Christopher will appear alongside Mariska in an episode of Law & Order SVU, which will be immediately followed by the premiere of his new spin-off, Law & Order Organized Crime.
I am just in awe on this day, I said that to you before, that here we are on the cover of People magazine because of this reunion. And I think that it is such a testament to the power and uniqueness of the unicorn that is Chris. Because in television, when somebody leaves, obviously there's a grieving period, but the fans never moved on. And I think that is just so incredibly beautiful and so incredibly powerful, and it was so meaningful to me that the work that we did and the investment, that we made and everything had paid off into a way that it still resonated.
Hard to believe it's been more than 20 years since Mariska and Christopher first met in the late 90s.
It happened at the screen test. I walked in, she turns around, I walk into the room, she turns around, she goes, Slattery! I go, no, Meloni! Because there was another guy who was supposed to be there to screen test. And from that moment forward, we walked in, they paired us together, and we walked into the screen test, me telling her a story, and we get up on stage in front of all the suits, and we're just so engaged, and we go, just give us 1 second, I just need to finish this story, it's really funny. And just like, we got it.
Effortless, easy, fun. I walked in, saw him, and I went, that guy, that's the guy. It went deep very fast. We both knew that it was something big. I won't say that I fully understood it, but I knew that it was big, important, and I think life-changing. I was thinking about that today just in makeup, though. I was thinking about my father, my husband, Dick Wolf, and Chris are the four sort of like pillar men in my life. And that happened early.
For years, Christopher had a front row seat for most of Mariska's major milestones, including her 2004 marriage to actor Peter Hermann, who she met while he was working on SVU.
This is the Peter story. So he from my perspective, so he gets on the show as a guest actor, and I'm like, is it literally this? I'm like looking at her, looking at him, and I'm seeing how she's acting, right? So I know her, so, and I'm like, oh boy, and she's like, like, I don't even care about him or anything like that. I was just like, oh my God, I'm back in high school or even grade school, going, please. And then they start dating and this and that, and I just remember one time, and they'd been dating a long time, and she came in and she was crushed. She said, we had, do you mind me telling you?
No.
So she goes, Peter and I had a really deep, long conversation. We cried, and I just don't think it's gonna work. And I was like, listen, like that. And I didn't want to, but the whole time in the bubble in my head, I'm like, you'll be married within 5 months. That's all I'm thinking, going, yeah, I know. Relationships are hard. Whatever the shtick I was doing, but I knew, right?
Meanwhile, Christopher was already married to his wife, Sherman, when the show began. And when the happy couple welcomed their first child, Sophia, in 2001, they asked Mariska to be the godmother.
She threw Sophia's shower.
Oh,
we still
I
have the
mean-
napkins.
Sophia, I mean, the birth of his first child, and being privy to his amazing relationship, this solid relationship with his wife before I had that. And I think that Chris and Sherman played a really big role. I see that now more, but this really stable couple that loved each other, and it made me feel even safer with him. Do you see what I'm saying? As opposed to, great guy but single, or great guy, and it was this solid as a rock man that I met that was like a pillar in his relationship, and so I got to lean on it when I needed to, and it was safe and fun, and the trust and the openness. It was like family.
Elliot put his papers in.
Christopher left Law & Order SVU rather abruptly after his contract negotiations broke down before the start of season 13.
He's earned it.
And then some.
Longtime fans of the show were crushed, and so was Mariska.
You want to talk?
No. Well, I was devastated. I was just so sad because, we started this thing and built this thing. I felt like we built this thing together, and we went through so many milestones together and spent so much time together and understood so many things that nobody else could understand because we did this first together. And so now it was like, oh, wait a minute. I had so much mental gymnastics and sort of reinvention to do in my own mind, which of course turned out to be a gift, as any sort of growth is. But I was scared. I was sad, and what were your thoughts, Chris?
I think they're different because as soon as because it's not like we broke, it's the break was that. So she's left in the familiarity of what we were. So I'm sure there were echoes, constant reminders and echoes. Me, was just completely different, which was, it's a combination of how it fell out, how it was handled, and I've always used this word, was inelegant. But at the end of the day, how it was handled was, oh, okay, see you later. That's what I felt. So I went, that's fine. We're all big boys and girls here. See you later. So I left, and I was off on new adventures and doing what I wanted to do, telling the stories I wanted to tell. I couldn't have been happier. But she and I stayed connected. So I would, get the sense of pain and abandonment, but also growth, and also, she's finding her own way, right? And she's making the show, kind of, I wouldn't say in her image, but, she had to, sally forth, continue on.
On April 1st, fans will finally get to see the highly anticipated Benson-Stabler reunion. For Mariska and Christopher, there was a lot of pressure to get it right, but once the cameras were rolling, they could do no wrong.
It was nerve-wracking as hell leading up to it. People would ask me, how's it feel? And I was like, this is one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do as an actor. Because I think so much energy was needed to block out anticipation or expectation. You just can't get locked up into that. It's a deadly road. And I was honestly shocked that first scene, boom, even if it wasn't perfect, it's just like, oh, oh yeah, you got me, I got you, we got this.
Effortless.
That's what it was. On,
Effortless, like riding a bike. And so much, again, so much shorthand, and it all goes back to trust. All goes back to it. And that's pretty, that's just a powerful feeling of
You know what it was?
home
It
in a
was-
way. Home. There was something home, like, okay.
It's Pavlovian. Like you went right back to like it
Yeah,
was the bell.
Pavlovian.
Stabler, Benson, Stabler didn't ring the bell, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
get right into it.
So that was so fun and electric that way to go back to, that sweater, that favorite ease, and it still keeps you warm, and yet it was just so like a kind of electric and fun energetically. It was like crackling, I would say. Crackling.